You get the Expendables, but now we've got more action, more blood, and new faces. Yet again, hi, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Adi.
And today we're talking The Expendables Part 4. In this film, we get to see the return of Barney, most of the gang, but also a couple of new faces that, in my opinion, work far better than the gang that we got in Part 3.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't bring back any of the previous cast, or did they? I don't remember anything.
I mean, you get Dolph Lundgren again, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah, but he was there at the beginning.
Barney, yeah.
But like, there's nobody new from the third movie.
Yeah,
because that was supposed to be like the new group or
just
whatever.
Retcon.
Yeah, and now this is a whole ass other new
but
group.
One of the things that I feel like they keep doing is that they include people in the cast, and then maybe if they might need them again, they can call on them again.
Yeah.
Kind of like they could always just say like, "Oh, it's somebody I used to work with." Kind of like, you know, I feel like they do that every often. Some of these films are like, "Oh, who's this? Oh, I used to work with him a long time ago. Look, I have the tat."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But yeah, it just seemed weird because they were just like, "Oh, you know, like we're getting the gang back together," but it's like
it's not the OG.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, the story was not too bad at all.
I thought the same.
Indeed. I never found myself being bored, which was surprising. I was not hoping I'd be bored. But there in the past 3 films, in some of them, I can't recall which ones, but I'd be like, all right, come on, let's get the show on the road. But it has plenty of nonstop action, which was great. More than the past 3, to be honest. And it does have a couple of twists that kept it fun and keeps you attentive to kind of wanting to know what's next. What's coming.
I think they kept the pace pretty good, and the twist I think got both of us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're expecting that. But I think they did a good job at like keeping the action scenes like equally split up amongst the like dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
Which I think usually for action movies it's just like a bunch of pew 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 pew, and then you get a little bit of storyline and then more action. But here it felt like it was like very intermingled.
A good balance.
Yeah, good balance.
Yeah. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, on to some of the pros and cons. Like I said, the new group works way better than the last group in my opinion. For example, the standout to me, I think maybe to you as well, is the new guy that they brought on who's supposed to be Antonio Banderas' son.
Oh, yeah.
From the last film.
That was super random.
It was very random. They introduced him, and I thought he was one of the guys from the old gang, from Part 3, that was new. He looked similar to one of them. I don't know which one, so don't ask me. But one of them. And then he started talking, and they're like, who's this guy? And they're like, oh, he's the son of so-and-so. And I was like, huh? But then he starts acting. He starts doing his thing. And immediately it hits you, and you're like, this is supposed to be Antonio Banderas' son.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this guy just imitating all of Antonio's mannerisms and talkativeness and everything. It was so over the top.
It was very.
But it made it good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they didn't mention that Antonio Banderas' character had a son in the previous movie.
Just throwing things in there.
Yeah, they're throwing things in there. And I also don't think, like, I don't know, this guy looked like older than 20. I don't think 20 years passed from movie 3 to movie 4. Yeah. So I feel like they should have at least sprinkled in that Antonio Banderas had a kid in the third movie and to kind of, like, keep it continuous. But it also sucks for him that he's just stuck imitating another character.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, he did a good job.
Yeah, he did do a good job. He was a little comedic relief.
Indeed.
In the
probably the best comedic relief we've had in all of the Expendables, in my opinion. Because Antonio is Antonio.
He did better than Antonio. They just made him very cringy.
I guess what makes him better is just that he's trying to be someone else. And I say trying, but he is doing a good job at it, though, right? But the fact that you know he's trying to be someone else is what makes it even funnier.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Just comparing him.
Yeah.
Living in a shadow.
So, although it feels like an overall, again, B-grade film, its quirks are what make it good and make it stand out. So, on to some of the cons for me. I'm just gonna just go off a list here. One of the things that have bothered me from the very beginning, and a lot of other action films do this too, so I can't just place the blame on Expendables, is how they treat grenades. Grenades are an explosive. It has whatever's inside, gunpowder, TNT, whatever. It explodes, and then the outer shell is the shrapnel that kills people. It's not a bomb. So there's plenty of scenes in this film and the previous Expendables that we've had where They throw a grenade and it's a fireball. It's not supposed to do that. And like I get it, it's fantasy land. Films are fantasy,
Common folk like me don't know that.
but it's supposed to be just shrapnel. You're supposed to get a little like poof, like you can see a shockwave maybe, but not a fireball. And then it's also very inconsistent with how the grenades.
They make their own grenades, like special grenades that are fire grenades.
Maybe I guess you could say to play devil's advocate, right? The other big thing is the CG. It is stuck in the second movie. The first movie is the worst. The second movie steps it up. But the biggest problem they have is they keep doing these like portrait shots, right? Where it's like breast up and where they're focusing on someone talking. And usually it happens when they're in a car or a plane or something and there's a background, right? They're either in the sky, there's a road, a desert or something. And it looks so bad. They look like floating heads. They have that big floating head problem that even big studios have. But this one is the worst I've ever seen. And you don't see like a green halo from like where they're comping out the, or what's it called? Cueing out the green or the blue of the CG background, right? Where they have to cue it out. But it still just looks bad. I don't know if it's the lighting. I don't know how to what to pinpoint. Yeah, and then onto that, a lot of scenes, it looks like I'm playing Halo in like 2004 with these warthogs or whatever they have. Some of these scenes are really, really rough. Like, I don't even know. I guess they just got approved and they're like, all right, cool, you know. I'm also sure they probably got the cheapest VFX house that they could find. But some scenes are really rough. Some scenes I'm like, all right, that's not too bad. But they look, a lot of these big that are supposed to be on location, could have been on location. Maybe they just didn't have enough money to fly the team out there, but they could have been on location, are done in CG, and they look really, really rough. So we've got that, and yeah, they just stick out like sore thumbs a lot of times, and they just don't, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too. Some of the explosions look a little comical. But I think what was bothering me the most was that how gross the killings were, which I guess is the point. But like, I don't know, like there's a scene where I think somebody has a knife and they like cut somebody across the face. I felt like I could hear the skin tearing.
You're giving him too much credit.
Give me the ick.
Yeah, the blood again has stepped up. It stepped up from 1 to 2. And then I think 3 goes back to like being 4 steps it back up with the shading and the color of the blood and like how it looks comped in. But it's still, they're going for something that's very outdated, which is it being like goo. You know, I think John Wick does the best job at getting it right. When it's a gunshot, the exit wound is not going to be, you know, like a whole bunch of like splatter. It's going to be a mist of blood, which is what John Wick does right. But I get it. Again, you're trying, your target audience is people that want this visceral action. So I get it, but it looks way too exaggerated. And again, like that scene you mentioned, I noticed that scene. I know exactly what you're talking about, because when he cut him, it looked like they grabbed one of the stock videos for the blood that they've used before and then just shrank it. And it looks wrong because the dimensions don't work. Is if you it's like if you try to get like a city background and you shrink it to try and make it a town and just add it over and over again, it looks wrong because the sizing is off. So the perspective, that's the word I was looking for. It just looks wrong. So all these little CG things, to be honest, were not taking me out of it. Just because I was expecting it to look wonky already. And I was like, I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm just going to roll with it. And honestly, if you just keep like, if you don't care about CG, great, kudos to you. But also, it's just so bad that you're like, you know, it's fine. Well, I'll take it. It's kind of like the way people love Sharknado.
Yeah.
You can love these films for what they are, to be honest.
Bad movies.
But yeah, the last thing for me that I would like to mention is just banter. It's again hit or miss here and there. Some of the lines are meh, some of them are great. There's a line where I don't remember what exactly was said, but something was said by the guy whose last name is Couture. He's the one with the cauliflower ear.
Oh,
he said something to 50 Cent, and 50 Cent could have had a better line, and he just says, "Copy that." And I was like, there could have been a little more of a conversation there. So writing is a little rough. Also, I'm pretty sure this was written a long time, like before the writer's strike, but because 4 had been in the works for quite a while and it kept getting pushed. But yeah, banter, all right.
I think it's better than the rest of the movies. Yeah, they all have a reason to be in this particular, mission. And I think that kind of keeps the group a little bit more tight together. So they're not super bantering with each other. They're like talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, I mean, like the banter here and there, just like how we've had it in every film.
Yeah.
Where like one or two of the guys are like hitting on some of the girls on the team or something like that. Those kind of things. So we see that again. The same kind of it's more friendly banter. It's not like they hate each other.
They're not bullying each other.
If you've seen the other movies, you know exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I guess that wraps it up for me.
Yeah.
I think we can go ahead and move on to our ratings. Do you want to go first?
You usually go first.
All right, I'll go ahead. So yeah, I will say 6 out of 10 for me because I wasn't as bored as I thought I was gonna be, or wasn't really bored in general. I was having a great time, and there was never really like any lull. But besides that, the CG still sucks. Some of the lines are still meh. But I love seeing, the gang being together and just these old guys having a good fun time. And Sylvester looks like he's having such a great time and everything. I'm like, you know what?
He literally says twice, like, "Oh, I'm just happy to spend time with you."
I love it. I just love that these guys are having a great time. Would have been a 7, but again, just these little minor grievances that I have. But a 6 is still great in my books. Even a 5 would still be good in my books. Anything past like under like a 3 or under is bad as a flop. But I'd give it a solid 6, which is still good. Go check this out. If you can check it out in Dolby, or I don't think it's in IMAX, especially with Barbie coming back into theaters with IMAX. This is like, for me, like your traditional like movie-going experience. You just have a good time, whether it's a great or bad film. It was pretty good overall. Had a great time.
Theater was empty.
Yeah, theater was empty. I think there was like
go watch
a couple in front of us and a couple behind us, at the most. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Just because I thought it was way better than the previous 3 movies.
Yes.
I also liked the storyline a lot more. And then, like he said, there wasn't really a lull. It kept you pretty entertained with, like, one thing or another. And I liked how the characters worked well together. And I thought it was, like, funny. Wouldn't watch again.
Indeed, yeah. There's more of a spotlight also, since there's, like, a lot of the newer people, you don't get too much of a spotlight on them. This one is almost kind of a spotlight on Jason. So I enjoy that. His action movies are usually pretty darn good. So I enjoyed that. But overall, I would recommend, not highly, but I'd recommend going to check out this film in theaters. Fun time for anybody. I wouldn't say for the family. There is a lot of killing. There is a lot of killing. But great film. I don't want to spoil anything. I was going to say. Great film. Fun time. Check it out in theaters. If you've seen it or plan on seeing it, I know I think it's been up for like 2 days at this point. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Till next time.